Fallout New Vegas has always been admired for its massive collection of weaponry and femboys, but its gunplay has certainly turned some people away from playing the game for more than just an afternoon. I, for one, have loved how janky the mechanics are, and even my dislike of VATS can't change how much I enjoy killing things. But according to Salvador, the most trusted vault hunter from Borderlands 2 in regards to cannibalism and dual wielding, 2 weapons just equals more fun. While a debate about how effective dual wielding firearms exists, we aren't here for how practical it is, and instead are here to appreciate all the hard work modders have done to make this possible. I'll throw links to all the mods I use down in the description if you want to check them out, but just know that I did run into several issues with these mods between odd third-person camera angles and unusual firing patterns. I'll avoid talking about these issues in detail because again, we're here to have fun, and to be honest, I wouldn't even know where to start if I had to create these mods myself. With all that out of the way, let's put our panties and thigh highs on, and see if we can beat Fallout New Vegas while only dual wielding. Sitting up out of an old man's bed for the second time today, I named my character after the inspiration for this run. I also gave making my character look like Salvador a shot, but I ended up looking more like a pancake and sausage breakfast instead. My special stats had me looking like a Jack Houdini with how high my endurance and luck ended up being, but my tag skills made me a little bit more well-rounded, with guns, repair, and survival. Logan's Loophole and Skilled were selected as my traits before I looted anything from Doc Mitchell's house, and a few crates around Good Springs. After selling a bunch of stuff I can't use, I buy one 357 revolver from Chet, and obtain the other one from Trudy's bar. In order to obtain the dual version of the weapon, we simply get 2 of the same weapon and combine them at the workbench. This of course doesn't work for every weapon, but I'll do my best to use quite a few in this run to keep things interesting for the both of us. With the weapon, or rather weapons, at my side, I loot a little bit at Gene's skydiving before heading over to Prim. At this point I don't have very much ammo, so I only take out the 2 guys outside of the casino and trade with Mr. Potato Man. You may be curious as to why I'm taking the long way to Vegas when I could have already been there by now, but I really wanted a more relaxing playthrough this time around, just to see what things would be like being able to dual wield. After getting to Lacey and shopping around a little bit, I head back to Good Springs and steal Chet's 22 in his display case. Using the one that I had grabbed at Gene's, I made a dual version and immediately put them to good use. Normally, this gun leaves a lot to be desired on harder difficulties, but with a crit build and double the damage and fire rate, the 22 proved itself even until late game despite my terrible accuracy. Level 2 sees me grab rapid reload and a new addition to the arsenal, the dual 10mm pistols. Stocking up on ammo, I head to the Bison Steve to clear out the rest of the convicts inside. I feel like now is a good time to mention that I did utilize a bullet time mod this run because I wanted to. I know I've complained about VATS in the past about how glitchy it can be, but my biggest issue with it is that it seems to take away control from the player. While I'm definitely not one to shy away from bondage when the opportunity presents itself, I do have to draw the line at firearms. Finishing up at the Bison Steve, I start making my way to Nipton. The bad guys on the way there definitely did more damage than what I believe Flex Seal to really be capable of fixing, but the 2 cuties closer to the town with red femboys went down easier than my depression medication with the milkshake. Bypassing the Legion and disarming a mine, I utilized the 22 pistols a little bit more up on this ridge. The range, damage, and fire rate of these 2 really make me wish for a nuclear winter. After a little bit of trading near Wolfhorn Ranch, I watch my brethren work. The way they hold their firearms and sway their hips is almost too much for me to handle, so I take a break to tenderize the beef that I put in my fridge last night to thaw. Owl is so wholesome that you should consider leaving a like on this video. Over at Repcon, I grab the medical supplies above the entrance and absolutely destroy the ghouls inside. Ghouls are actually one of my favorite things to fight in New Vegas, but that is probably due to the sounds they make and my necrophilic tendencies. Jason introduces himself as a man looking for love. Davison is looking lonely in the basement with all of his invisible friends. I deploy stealthy tactics to hide my depleted bussy. Jason says that he would be more than interested in a date with Davison, but only if Haverson is able to set the table properly. I grab the silverware from the dinosaur and the napkins from the scrapyard, and get to truly appreciate Jason and Davison's climax as they set off rockets in honor of their first date. Level 4 sees me grab Comprehension. I talk with Manny because I've obviously never played the game before and want to follow the plot closely, and the arms merchant gives me a few upgrades and a bunch of ammo for my weapons. Naked and running to the strip, I make a pit stop at the wreck caravan for some armor and a lever action shotgun. This allows me to trade with Vendy and Mick, but Mick ends up being a little bit of a letdown, so I put him down before crafting the dual lever action shotgun over in Novak. I really wanted to be able to put them to good use, so I stopped by Helios to talk with Haggerty and Ignacio. Heading outside into the ray, I use the best tactic that I found to deal with this stupid mine near the first terminal. Simply trigger the mine, take a few steps back, and there you go. Easy access to the computer like onesies with those snap-on backsides. The shotguns made quick work of the dogs in the next area, but the real star of the show was this barrel that shielded me from the turret's bullets while I waited for the door to open. Hacking the terminal, I barely take out a robo-brain with pulse slugs, one shot at Mr. Gutsy, and turn on the control panel like I do with the light switches in Old World Blues. This allows me access to a massage from Ignacio and a trip to Boulder City. Monroe tells me that he is proud of me, unlike my mom. I do some light reading, and Jessup tells me how much he loves my face. Boulder City really left me feeling stronger than ever. I take out Oris and Freeside, get a jump scare from Victor, meet with King Arthur, pleasure his peasants for using their audio receptacles, seduce the village's healer, defeat a puzzle by using Mage Hand, rescue the princess, and meet with her at her castle. If you happen to like hot men or tabletop role-playing games, consider joining the channel's Discord. The mod team and I have a special event coming up soon that we would love for you to join. The link is in the description right next to my non-existent OnlyFans. Wanting a little bit of change of pace, I head over to the Fiends territory to get to work on tackling 3-card bounty. I like to think that so far I've been pretty positive about these mods, and I will remain to be. But I do want to talk about some things that I don't like about this challenge as a whole. Dual wielding is just goofy. It takes twice as long to reload. At least the left gun appears to have poor accuracy, and the damage doesn't seem to be as good as what I was expecting. For every challenge on my channel that pertains to Vegas, I've played on very hard and hardcore. So you could say that I'm somewhat accustomed to how enemies take damage at a variety of levels, and with a variety of builds. But either by the way that these guns were balanced, or perhaps how thrown off I am by the way these function, I would likely not utilize these mods long term. My favorite by far are the 22 pistols, and I would definitely like to mess around with them more in the future, but not being able to actually aim down sights and pace my shots left me going through a lot more ammo than what I usually like to carry on hardcore. Strategically, I don't like these guns. Mod-wise, I highly recommend that you guys integrate these guns into at least a few of your gunslinger builds. After getting all that serious YouTube stuff out of the way and trading with Vindy, I pass the credit check, make out with Swank, assassinate Benny with an astounding 26 bullets, develop a sensual relationship with Yes Man, and pop a Pez out of my vintage Pez dispenser before heading to the boomers. Raquel's armpits seem to have a scent to them that simply implores me to aid her family. So I heal some sick people and kill some ants that have preventing them from accessing their collection of textbooks on how to satisfy a femboy's urges. Once returning a copy of the book to Raquel, she informed me that chapter 1 was about butt plugs before I hit up Pete for history on the boomers. I know how that sentence sounds, both in context and out of context, but I just want you to know that I hate pedophiles. Deploying the ballast, failing the challenge, and returning to Pearl lets me not only the boomers aid in combat, but access to their massive library. Oh, the possibilities. Heading to Cottonwood Cove, I introduce myself as a future skirt wearer, take my first of many rides, speak to the master of salads, kill some of Fisto's brethren that are a disappointment to the family, and use a few more pulse slugs on the room full of turrets before upgrading Mr. House's army. As I return to Kaisar, you may be thinking, Owl, who are you going to side with this run? The truth is, I don't remember, and it's not important. Killing Mr. House and buying some drugs in Gamora, I shoot some bottles with sunny smiles for good old time's sake. Doing so allows me easy access to Ringo and my deck of Caravan cards. Me killing Ringo instead of talking to him is definitely a required strat for this run, so that we can do unspeakable things to his corpse afterwards. Because only 3 of you get my humor and the rest of you think that I should be put in a mental hospital, this isn't a joke. Just kidding. Ha ha ha. For the victim today, I went with the familiar Crocker and proceeded to steal all of his retirement money. I never really talk about how to play Caravan, mainly because before I even started these challenge runs, I anticipated that there were going to be questions, so I made a guide. If you're lazy like me and don't feel like listening to the old version of Owl, here's another quick summary that will hopefully help at least 2 of you. Each row needs to have one side between 21 and 26. Whichever side gets there first wins. Comprise your deck of as many large numbers as possible, and you'll be quick to win in most cases. Sometimes the game requires a little bit more skill in the use of face cards. The 2 main ones that you'll be using are Jacks and Kings. Jacks take away a card, Kings double a card's value. There's a lot that goes into Caravan, but it's a pretty simple game once you get the hang of it, and it can really help you make some early game caps, or even late game caps if you spend way too much time playing it. Dr. Usinusi allows me to buy every single implant from her, I repair my gear with everyone's favorite bottom, admire how progressive the NCR is, kill Chief Hanlon because Directional Owl doesn't like gay people apparently, kill this random settler and Easy Pete for their pistols, and craft the final weapon that we're going to be checking out this run. Dual Lucky Revolvers. Next up we got the Brotherhood bunker, but a chill goes down my spine as I open the door into the tight space, reminding me of the crawl space. I was never one for crawling around in tight spaces, but when I saw that dark crawl space underneath my uncle's old house, something inside me stirred. Maybe it was the thrill of exploration, or the desire to uncover some hidden treasure. Whatever it was, I couldn't resist. I grabbed a flashlight and made my way to the crawlspace entrance. The opening was small, barely big enough for me to squeeze through even at my young age, but I managed to fight my way inside. The space was cramped and dusty, but I was determined to see what was beyond the initial hallway. At first, everything seemed normal. I crawled through the darkness, following the beam of my flashlight. But as I went deeper, I realized that something was off. The air was getting thinner, and I was starting to feel claustrophobic. Panic set in as I realized that I might be trapped. I tried to turn back, but the way behind me was no longer lit from the outside world. I had gone too far, and no breadcrumbs were left in my wake. I pushed forward, hoping to find another way out, but every path seemed to lead to a dead end. I was lost, and my fear was mounting with every passing moment. As the minutes ticked by, my hope dwindled. I was cold and scared. I started thinking about what it would be like to die in the dark, alone and dehydrated. I turned off my flashlight to conserve battery. It felt like I had been down there for hours. The darkness was oppressive, and the silence was deafening. I shouted for help, but my voice was swallowed up by the thick, musty air and my tight, fear-filled throat. I wish I could remember what it was that knocked me out of my fear, but I truly don't know. I hugged the left wall and followed it, determined to make it out of hell alive. I didn't stop, and before long I could see the ray of sunlight trailing in. I had found my way outside. Seeing the sun again for the first time in a long time, I immediately start stocking up on resources. Trudy, Doc Mitchell, Dr. Usingrunsky, and Blake all played key factors in supplying me with medical supplies and much-needed skill books. Kaisar, of course, sent me to deal with one of my least favorite factions, but this time around, I was ready. With the speech of 62, I was able to convince Mortimer that I was a cannibal, get distracted with food much like real life, grab Ted in a completely unsexual way, appreciate the heartfelt moment that I missed out on all my prior runs, throw a body in a dumpster, and finally complete the Beyond the Beef quest. I'm shocked at how much easier this quest was than I originally thought, but we'll have to check out the other ways to beat it in the future because right now Kaisar is coming out to me with his erectile dysfunction, and we need to find a way to save him. Buying some Viagra at the clinic, I accidentally gave him one too many pills, killing him in the process. Feeling terribly sad for the loss of such a great leader, but also delighted at the sight of his erection, I meet with Kato to kill the president of the Green Bottoms. This quest goes about as well as what you would expect from not wearing disguise, with a rather large surprise at the end. I mean, look at that thing. After some gentle reconsideration and more resets than I really want to talk about, I managed to kill Kimball while essentially hip-firing 2 revolvers. For my reward, I loot the Legion supply cache for some more ammo and medical supplies. I also decked myself out in Legion attire just to feel the breeze between my freshly shaven legs. One last stop at the Great Khan's armory, and Lucius told me what a good boy I was and how I should help out around the house. So helping out around the house is exactly what I did. Alexandra was one of the women that I had dated in my late 20s. Our dynamic was definitely non-traditional, but we had an amazing time in the bedroom. I had just gotten home from work one day, at the time I was still working in a warehouse, when she had told me to go take a shower and to check the gift on the bathroom sink. As I step into the bathroom and look at the wonderfully wrapped pink package, I get excited. I went to unwrap it, but after some hesitation, I thought that it would be best to keep myself in suspense. I take a quick shower, being sure to clean everything thoroughly. Drying off, I excitedly unwrapped the packaging and almost immediately realized what the black and white outfit was. Stepping out into the living room where Alexandra had waited expectingly, I revealed my maid outfit. Decorated with bows, lace, and a short skirt. It was gorgeous. A giant smile appeared on her face, and I blushed in response. My chores for the night were to clean the countertops, mop the floors, and fold the laundry. I don't know what made the experience more enjoyable, the short skirt or her eyes staring at me in a half smile. As I finished my chores and she sat down on the end of the bed, I kneeled down, ready for my praise. Looking up at Legatanius in awe, he tells me what a good boy I've been for taking down General Oliver, and I prove that yes, you can beat Fallen to Vegas while only dual wielding. If you liked this video and it made you feel things that you never thought were possible, consider subscribing and checking out my other content here. Thank you to my patrons for supporting my work and for being really freaking cute. Love you guys. With all that out of the way, I've been Owl, but do me a favor, will ya? Have a good one.